Hello and welcome to the ADM Investor Services Weekly Market Kickoff. Please note that the views and opinions expressed here today are solely those of our guests and should not be construed as the views or opinions of ADM Investor Services or Archer Daniels Midland. Today's panelists are Alan Bush, our Senior Financial Economist, and Mark Soderberg, our Senior Ag Market Specialist. Starting with the financials, Alan, what are the charts saying about the outlook for crude oil futures?
Okay, well, on the daily chart, there is a double top at the 82.72 to 82.80 level. And there is an old market adage that double tops seldom hold. And I think this will probably be the situation again this time. So I would expect this double top pattern not to hold. I would expect it to be taken out on the upside, with the next major resistance then coming in at the mid-April high of $84 even. So I would expect futures to continue this uptrend, and higher prices are, I believe, likely for the crude oil market.
Right. What are the seasonal tendencies for the S&P 500 and NASDAQ futures for the month of July?
Okay, well, historically, July has been a very good month for the bulls for stock index futures. Historically, the month of July has actually been the second best month for S&P and NASDAQ over the last 4 years, with the S&P on average advancing 4.26% on the month. And the seasonality for the NASDAQ futures is very similar, with over the last 4 years, NASDAQ futures advancing on an average of 5.3% in the month of July. So I would expect this seasonality to continue, and I think July will be an up month across the board, not just for S&P and NASDAQ, but the other indices as well.
All right. And lastly, Alan, what potentially market-moving events and economic reports are scheduled for this week?
Okay, well, on Tuesday, we'll have Fed Chair Powell speaking, and that will be at 8:30 Central Time. On Wednesday, we'll have the ADP employment change report, anticipated to be up 163,000. And then on Friday, the June non-farm payrolls report, and that is anticipated to show an increase of 189,000.
All right, Alan, thank you. Turning over to the grains, Mark, what stood out the most to you from Friday's USDA Stocks and Acreage's report?
Well, to me, it was the fact that across the board, the June 1st stocks were well above trade expectations. Our trade estimates were higher than most. But in the case of corn, USDA came out at 4.993 billion bushels. That was 126 million above the average trade guess, and 22 million above our estimate at 4.971 billion. So as a result of the higher stocks, I look for the USDA to make a modest reduction in their feed usage forecast in the upcoming July production and WASDE report on Friday the 12th. Bean stocks at 970 million bushels, they were slightly above expectations and just below our estimate at 981 million. And wheat stocks at 702 million bushels, that was 20 million above the average trade guess. However, very much in line with our estimate at 705 million, and our estimate was the top end of the range of estimates going into the report. On the acreage side, corn acres at 91.475, that was roughly 1.2 million above the average trade estimate, which was looking for about a 300,000 to 400,000 acre increase. Bean acres at 86.1 million were down just over 400,000 from the March intentions, and down below expectations for 150,000 acre increase. However, it was exactly in line with our pre-report estimate. And wheat acres were just a touch below expectations.
All right. Ultimately, do you think we'll see changes from Friday's acreage update?
I do. The USDA did say that nationally there were 3.36 million acres of corn and 12.8 million acres of soybeans that were not planted as of the survey period. And with heavy rains and areas of flooding, particularly in the northwestern corn and soybean belt, that combined with the lower prices, I suspect will come in just short in both corn and beans. Since 1990, final corn acres have exceeded the June update, only 29% of the time. They declined 68% of the time, and there was 1 year where they were unchanged. And in 3 of the last 5 years, acres had actually dropped between 1.3 and 2 million acres. So in beans, it's a little bit more balanced. Half the time, the final acres came in above the June estimate. Since 1990, half the time they came in below. That said, however, the recent trend has certainly been lower, with the last 5 years now, acres falling from the June estimate. So at this point, my best guess is we'll see bean acres come in about 1 to 1.5 million shy of Friday's estimate. Once all the prospective or preventative planting acres are totaled up. And in corn, I look for final acres to be down around 500,000.
All right, and finally, Mark, what are you looking for in this holiday shortened trading week?
Well, first off, what have crop conditions this afternoon? I'm probably in the minority here, but I think we're going to see a little bit of an uptick in both corn and soybean ratings, driven by improvements in the east that did see some pretty good rains in the last week, along with some moderating of the temperatures, and that will likely offset declining conditions in the northwest from the heavy rains. We also have key usage numbers out this afternoon with May soybean crush and corn brine for the production of ethanol. And of course, weather outlook will be huge. Short term, I think conditions are not particularly threatening. However, we do have some increased talk of heat developing here in the second half of July. But I'm going to also be very interested to see if we can start building some export demand now at these lower price levels. To date, China has still not bought any new crop beans from the U.S., despite prices being below the $11 level for the first time this late June, early July timeframe, for the first time since 2020. So those are some of the key things I'll be looking for this week.
All right, thank you both. Remember, the views and opinions expressed today on this video are solely those of our guests and should not be construed as the views or opinions of ADM Investor Services or ADM. If you would like more information about our brokerage services, please visit admis.com. Thank you.